Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Better Than Before. I'm Tony Richards, and our special guest today is Lynette M. Smith. She's the award-winning author of the book, How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure. And she's going to talk to us today how easy it is to write a meaningful letter of appreciation. Whereas spoken words and texts and emails are fleeting, a gratitude letter is very tangible and long-lasting. I've often been an advocate of leaving handwritten notes for people, so this sounds like there might even be a little bit more substance and meat to this kind of thing. Hi, Lynette. Welcome to the show.
Why, thank you very much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, So listen, it's a great book, How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure. What inspired you to write this book?
Back in 2008, November, our son got married, and we were at the rehearsal dinner, and he and his wife each brought out and surprised their own parents with a framed, heartfelt letter of appreciation. They had their best man and maid of honor read those letters, and my son's letter talked about what it was like growing up in the family, the traits he most admired about his dad, and then the traits he most admired about me. Then he talked about the values he had learned growing up that he was planning to bring to his marriage. And then he thanked the both of us for all that we had done to make a good difference in his life. There wasn't a dry eye in the house, I'm telling you. When they had those letters read aloud, we just all had tears pouring down our faces. Even today, and it's more than 10 years later now, that letter still holds a place of honor in our home, and it's proudly displayed. And you know what's weird is the lasting power of a letter like this. Every time I read it, my eyes well up again, my hand just kind of moves to my heart. It feels just as good as the first time. So that's the lasting power of one of these letters of appreciation.
When I look at the Christmas cards that I received over the holiday period, I still get quite a few, but nothing compared to the ones my grandmother used to receive. And she used to post those Christmas cards around the door facings of the house, and she was so proud of them, and each one of them had something really special written inside the card. And of course, letter writing used to be what people did. I don't remember the last time I received a nice letter from someone. What do you think contributes to that? We just don't take the time to do it, or?
It's life in a hurry, and it's also upbringing in terms of what is the etiquette. I mean, I'm part of the baby boomer generation, and that means that my peers and I all were spoiled rotten by our parents, but we were so special as children that, we could do no wrong, and in some respects, they kind of forgot to tell us some of the things to do right sometimes, like the little niceties, like sending a thank you note for a gift you received. And now we baby boomers had kids, and it just never occurred to us to teach those kinds of values to our kids for the most part. And those kids don't know any better. They get a gift. They might even say thank you verbally or in a text. That's about it. A thank you note generally never occurs to them. And then we come to things like letters, where they're appropriate when the magnitude of your gratitude is bigger than a thank you note. There are a lot of occasions in life where it's appropriate to send a letter like that and make that other person know they've made a positive difference. Because you know what? If you never tell them in a lasting way, they may never know or remember. They may go to their deathbed thinking, I wonder if I made a difference to anybody.
Yeah, so I can see the benefits are fairly obvious to the receiver. And you just mentioned a big one for the sender, which is I made a difference. What are some of the other benefits that I would receive as a person who would send these letters to someone?
Well, the nice thing is, before you start writing one of these letters, you take a little time out and get quiet, and you think long and hard about the person you're about to write to. And you're thinking about their positive traits and the things they've done in your life or in the lives of others that have made a difference, and maybe demonstrate what those traits are. Getting quiet and thinking about that puts you into a good mental space to be focusing on the positive. I mean, with media and everything else today, God knows there's not enough positive going around. So stopping to think about that positive really puts you in a good space. And then once you're actually writing the letter, it feels good while you're writing. I have to say, it feels just as good as receiving the letter to be able to write it. And it does warm your heart to know that you're really taking the time to express to another individual the difference they've made. And it flat out feels good. As a matter of fact, you may just decide you like this habit and you're going to do this more often because it does feel so good.
You know, listeners of our show know that I have advocated for them to carve out some strategic time for themselves every week. And then I, from time to time, give them advice on how to use that time. This sounds like you're providing an excellent reason for them to spend some time. So in this strategic time, I'm speaking to the audience now, you could do exactly what Lynette is suggesting. You need to sit down and, as far as enhancing your relationships, spend that time doing what she said and being able to write one of these kinds of correspondence with someone who's important to you. Now, let's get back to the book, How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure. What about this book is unique and especially useful?
Well, first of all, it's comprehensive, and there is no other book like it on the market in that respect because it doesn't just say fill in the blanks and write this letter and pretend it came from your heart. It prompts you, it gives you some tools, it shows you how to write over 150 types of gratitude letters. And out of those, over 30 of them are for business applications, like for supervisors at all levels, employees, coaches, mentors, manufacturers of excellent products, above and beyond service providers, star referral sources, and people who've given great customer service. So a lot of this book does focus on the business applications day to day. In addition, one of the appendices is a list, it's 15 lists actually, demographic lists of positive words. Each one, let's say for a middle-aged man or a service provider or someone religious or spiritual, each of these lists has 72 of the most powerful positive words to describe someone special. So when you're thinking about who you're going to write to, it really helps when you know who you're going to write to look at a list like this and go, oh, this person has this, and this quote. I think I'll focus on those qualities in my letter. I couldn't quite think of the words, but now I've got them. So that's useful. It offers thought-provoking ideas for writing the letters. It gives you context. It says, what if? Do you remember when? And so forth. It asks prompting questions that will get you thinking about the kinds of things you might want to put in your letter. And it gives you sentence jump starts, when your battery won't start, just in case. It's not going to be a total fill in the blanks thing, but it's just, I remember back when we blank. Well, guess what? You get to fill that in. But those are the things you can rely on if your pen just won't start. It also provides advice on writing. I mean, it's obviously the writing, but also the packaging and presenting of a letter like this gives you some good ideas how to plan it and then package it and present it that could actually add meaning to the experience. So that's really cool. It's got a section in there that tells you the basics that would apply to every kind of letter. It's got different chapters about special occasions, the kind you'd find on the calendar. And then it's got chapters about special occasions that you're going to make special, such as somebody's about to retire. And there are, at some point, I'd like to share with you just 5 basic elements to include. This is the Cliff Notes for what to do to write one of those letters. Would you like them?
I would. I'm on the edge of my seat. I've got my pen. I've got my pen and my journal out right now. I'm ready.
Excellent. Start with a shared memory you both treasure. Then go on to describe the person's most admirable qualities, perhaps with examples. Then describe the positive difference this person has made in your life or in the lives of others. Then tell them you're grateful. Then sign your letter. Done.
Well, that's a very helpful and useful framework to follow. I think I could do that.
I think anyone could do that. Now, the question may come up, do you type it or handwrite it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You're allowed to type it, but you can also handwrite it. It depends on, think of it this way. What would your recipient most appreciate?
I could see where if I was writing a letter to my mom, which you've inspired me to do by the first story you told, I could see handwriting that out because I know my mom can read my writing. But if I was sending it to a client or a colleague, I might want to type it because I don't know that everybody could read my writing.
Right. But also in certain business contexts, a typewritten letter is better. And suppose that you have a star employee and that person has gone the extra mile and done something really above and beyond. And you want to write a letter to that person and tell them how much you appreciate it. And of course, you're going to include a copy for HR, right? That is a perfect example of where you would want a typewritten letter. Business contexts in general would call for that typewritten letter. If you've got someone who's given you fantastic referrals over the years, and it's not just a quick little thank you note you're dashing off, type that letter, but hand sign it. Absolutely hand sign it.
I can see where that signature is really the way to top it off. I do a lot of work with executive teams. We do a lot of retreats together and things of that nature. Is there a way that some of this could be utilized with a work team or people who, they interact with each other at work?
Sure. Turn your workplace into a thank tank. And here's how to do that. Go to a website called Wordle.net. That's spelled WORDLE.net. This is a free little toy, if you will, that allows you to make something they call a word cloud, an assemblage creatively presented and colorful of individual words. You've seen them in one place or another over the time, but just imagine now if you've got a team or you've got a retreat and a group of people, and you've got somebody there who acts as the admin assistant. You distribute amongst the members of the team a piece of paper that's got everybody's name on it and a blank line after it. And what you ask everybody to do is to write down 1 or 2 positive words next to each person's name. You don't have to put your own name on it. There's no reason to. And then you turn it in back to the administrative assistant, who compiles these into one list so that all the words describing John Doe are going to be right next to John Doe's name. And if the same word has come up more than once, put a star next to it. Now, when you go into Wordle.net, it's just a matter of typing words into a box. But the little trick is this. You type the person's name 3 times because that'll make it in the biggest type. Then you type the words that have the stars next to them twice each, and that'll make a medium-sized type. And then all the rest of the words, you just type them after that. And then you push a button and it makes a word cloud out of all these words, and the name is the biggest, and the most popular words are the next biggest, and then the rest of them are all around. And if you don't like the layout, push another button and it'll rearrange it, and so forth. When you hit on the perfect layout, you print it and have some kind of a meeting or a gathering where everybody receives these then, all about themselves, what their colleagues think of them. This is a list that's going to be a list. This word cloud is a little work of art, but they're going to want to display them in their workspaces, and they're going to become a topic of conversation. They're obviously going to make the employees feel good about themselves to see what everybody else thinks about them. But also you can see people coming over, oh, that's my word there that I put in there for you. And you talk about that. And can you not see how the workplace suddenly blossoms and focuses on the positive? And every time you look up from your desk, you see this thing that has positive words describing yourself. And you want to do a good job at work and you want to treat your coworkers with respect. It's wonderful.
I'm going to implement this. This sounds wonderful.
There's no downside to it, really.
So I'm curious, since you've written this book, have you gotten any letters of gratitude from anyone for writing the book?
Not per se, a lot of verbals, a couple of thank you notes, but not real full on letters. I think when the magnitude of your gratitude is bigger than a thank you note, I think they're grateful to get the book and it does serve a purpose for them, but they're reserving their creativity for the people they're going to write to based on the book.
So you've been on all the major networks. You've been on CBS News. You've been on Fox. You've been on NBC and ABC. So it's all started at a wedding, and you had an idea. How has this affected you writing this book and helping enhance the relationships of so many people?
It's given me a life purpose. I have something I call a big achievable goal, which is to get millions of people to write these heartfelt letters of appreciation so they can establish, enhance, and even rebuild their relationships, and in that way change their world.
So Lynette Smith is our guest. She's the award-winning author of this book called How to Write Heartfelt Letters to Treasure. And I really appreciate you being on the show today.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Tony.
Receive weekly coaching tips from Tony Richards, delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a CEO or an entrepreneur, Tony can help you reach your goals and give you a competitive edge within your industry. Tony's Monday Morning Coaching Memo covers topics ranging from leadership development to teamwork to company culture and more. Text the word leadership to 38470 to sign up for Tony's Monday Morning Coaching Memo, or sign up online at clearvisiondevelopment.com.